Welcome, travelers. Unfortunately, today, Jericho has something that came up literally about an hour before the stream, so I will be hosting it myself tonight. Hopefully, I can keep you entertained and be able to ramble for a little bit. We likely won't go for the full 3 hour time, but we will go for a time. I don't want to continue any sort of our storyline for the GMless RPG without him here to help contribute to the story. I don't want to establish anything as canon when he doesn't have a chance to interject or say anything about it. You know, that would be kind of rude to be gone and then suddenly come back and boom, big massive changes that you couldn't even participate in. So, for the time being, today only, hopefully he should be here tomorrow. I'm just going to be doing a stream with Samantha that is completely randomly generated. We are just going to go through a mission based on what these cards say and based on input from anyone that's watching. So that should be relatively interesting for the most part. Let's hope so. Asterisk, maybe, question mark. What we're going to do for this first small amount of stream, we are going to figure out how this game is going to run. We are going to randomly generate the mission. I have in my hand a deck of mission cards. They are just random things with a few tidbits that we are to follow. It is meant to help people quickly generate a mission for several other players. Side quests, of course. It is the fantasy deck of side quests, specifically by name. Essentially what I'm going to do is place them down on their backs. On the back of these cards are little maps, right? And then you flip over the map on one side and it gives you a breakdown for the mission. So we're just going to go ahead and shuffle it. What I'm going to do is I'm going to start by rolling a d4. If anybody in the audience would also like to roll a d4, that's just how many cards we're going to go through before we pick the final one. I highly doubt we'll hit the full 52 right off the bat. For anybody watching that wishes to roll, you can use exclamation mark roll space the number, which in this case is 4. And here's my number, which is 4. Megbu rolled a 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And this is the 5th one so far. Unless another number goes out, this is what we'll be doing today. And here's the mission. The Curse of Black Shuck. Last year, the village burned a witch at the stake. Now her revenge, Black Shuck, has appeared in the form of an enormous ethereal hound. Getting the players involved as they travel, Black Shuck begins to stalk them, forcing the PCs to take shelter in the village. The fangs of Black Shuck are powerful regents for alchemy and are worth a lot of money. The rest are encounters, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 of them, and then a follow-up adventure idea. Well, no, they burn the witch. That's the issue that they're having. So at least the fantasy one in the front, the forest background is the one that's going to happen. I mean, I guess you can say being chased by a demon dog is interesting, but is it the kind of interesting that you want to deal with? I sure as hell don't. But fortunately, I'm not the one that has to deal with it. Sorry, Sam. Okay. So with that out of the way, we're going to start a bit different than just normal. Also, yes, hello, Magica. We already have established that it's going to be Samantha, of course, character from the GMless RPG, the dude antagonist, or however the hell that word is pronounced, when Jericho is here, playing alongside his character of Vaughn. So I want to get a few questions right off the bat just to establish the world, so we're not just wondering what the hell is going on. At this particular moment, I will be switching to the other screen. This is the world map, the same world map that we use while portraying the GMless story. For those familiar, in the top left corner where the world is being covered in ice is the kingdom where the majority of the story is taking place. However, for now, we are going to roll on this map I will roll a d6, and anybody in the audience may roll a d4 to determine where this story takes place. So here's my d6, but it doesn't want to roll, of course. There it is. Clearing that out and then throwing out that d6 for a 1 plus the 2 that Megbu has rolled tonight. Getting those high numbers, aren't we? For a total of 3. We skip the first one, which is this yellow, the M.U.N.E League. Not counting our starting kingdom, because that's just unnecessary. Going to the Mausoleum, and then starting with the Grand Duchy of Sajopia. Interesting, of course. Don't know much about this place. Never actually set foot in here, but we are now. So what I'm going to do now is roll a d12, and anybody who would also like to participate may roll a d4 again, adding on numbers to find out what starting location, which town this is going to actually take place in. So here is my d12 after I erase it, of course. I have an 8. Megbu has rolled a 3 for 11. So same as last time, started from the top left. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So this is right here on port. Take a deeper look at this. I believe I can open it up. So the name of the city is Joannakia. These names in this program are always so far out there that you have to read them like 3 or 4 times. Wait, hold on. I think I can have it auto-pronounce.
Joannakia.
Joannakia. One more time.
Joannakia.
Joannakia. I hate the way that is. But they're a naval type culture, and here would be their crest. We don't have to worry too much about the temperature, the elevation, all that stuff. What we do want to know is right here on the features. So, there is obviously a port here. We have a castle here, and a rather large marketplace. That gives us some locations to run around and play with. Yes, Megbu, there are cities here. There are actually dungeons, mountain ranges. This program has a lot. You can honestly generate an entire game with it by itself. And I believe that clicking this opens up... That's weird. Why are you not working? But at least we do have that snapshot of it from the top. You can see a river runs through it. Isn't that a movie? Farmland a little top off to the right, and of course it's right on the edge of the water. Interesting, and they burned a witch here. So my immediate thoughts when you see a large city near the water, my thoughts go back to everything else in life that I do, Victorian London, and not a little further beyond that. I'm going to the Hounds of Baskerville for some reason. I'm getting mental images of people in coats, misty streets, and burning fleshy hounds. It's been years since I've actually read The Hounds of Baskerville, but that's what we're going to use, a brief memory of like 20 years ago to fuel this scenario. So, with that out of the way, we're now going to go back to the setup of the game and clear out the dice. Using the Oracle D6 on it, asking yes or no questions, we're going to establish what the hell is Samantha doing here. And the first thing I want to ask... Was she sent here on behalf of somebody to solve this mission? Does she know of it in some general way? So here comes the D6. No, she does not know of it, and she sort of just kind of stumbles into it. Her arrival here, well, maybe not her arrival, but her involvement in this story becomes an accident. She was not meant to be here. It's a Sherlock Holmes story, Megbu, The Hounds of Baskerville. I'm probably not even saying it right. I've only read like 3 years ago. But nonetheless, Samantha is not originally involved in it. Taking a look at the card again. Encounters the monster's hound bursts in, seizing people, dragging them outside through a wall. That's very Lovecraft. My mind immediately jumps to the Hounds of Tindalos, 4th dimensional hounds that track down time travelers, essentially, or anybody that commits crimes against time. Sorry, I'm blanking the hell out today. And those things come through angles specifically. They burst through anything, I believe, 90 degrees or higher. A villager is found killed, but no sign of the hound. It attacks from under the ground, dragging villagers beneath the surface to suffocate. Jesus Christ, how do you fight that? Was the witch a time witch is the question from Megbu. Would you like to roll that or should I? You rolled a 1. It is not a time witch. And would you like to have the and or should I? No, and time witches don't exist. Okay, that's a very straightforward way. When I read that out of the corner of my eye, I thought you said that time doesn't exist. And I was just like, bro, what? Because that would have been weird. Okay, but yes, time witches do not exist. There is no chronomancy here, so they're probably not even related to the Hounds of Tindalos. You're in a time loop. The next thing we have from there is a crash from the priest's house and a scream. He rushes out running towards the temple, followed by Black Shuck. He makes it to the temple grounds, but the hound seems unwilling to enter. Reminds me of Sleepy Hollow, the scene where the horseman can't get in and then he like pales that dude with a piece of the fence. Good movie. The PCs must get the other villagers to safety as Black Shuck hunts them through the village. With all the villagers in the temple, Black Shuck prowls outside. Eventually it attacks, but on holy ground it cannot become ethereal. The PCs must protect the villagers, but also prevent its escape. Interesting. And then the follow-up adventure is Black Shuck is part of a demonic pack. Its kin want revenge for Shuck's death. Dear God. Okay. So we have to deal with the enormous hound. So I guess that leaves the question, do we want to use an actual dog-like character? Because I have, like, this vaguely menacing wolf right here that we can use. Or it's brown, excuse me, not black. I also have this gnarly-looking werewolf. We can also repurpose this really boring dog. Like, that's not scary at all. The wolf works better? All right, we will use the wolf then. Get out of here, werewolf. You have been denied. Quite frankly, I think he deserves it. He's kind of a prick. Prima donna demands all the screen time when he is part of a production. Jackass. He's like me. Okay, so we're going to use that dog. Samantha just sort of stumbles into the area. She was not meant to be there. The question I want to ask of this, is Samantha passing through on the way to her own objective? And here comes the roll. D6 neutral. And when I say here comes the roll, now I mean it. 5. Yes, Samantha is passing through on her own objective and gets mixed into the situation. So, is her job, is what she coming to do in the city of...
Joey Nikasa.
What he said. Here comes the roll. Yes. Yes, this is where her job is meant to take her, and she arrives too late. I'm going to say that while she's not here, she has no knowledge of Black Shuck. She was here on behalf of Enigma, Lumina, before all of this crap actually happens, yet we're using modern-day Samantha. Wow, we're not in a time loop. We're destroying time in general. But she is here because the reportings were coming. This witch woman was captured. She was reported. Samantha is coming to pick her up. She took too damn long, and they lit the witch on fire. So while she doesn't know a Black Shuck, she does kind of stumble into that entire situation. That's interesting. Is Samantha coming here alone is the next question I want to ask. Here comes the roll, keeping most of these neutral. No, Samantha is not alone, and she's coming with somebody we know. Just for the sake and convenience. We have Sven from the other series, from the actual GMLess series. We have figures all over the desk because they fell last week. We have everybody's favorite bashed-in skeleton, Andrew/Bishop. You like Andrew/Bishop. You remember Andrew/Bishop. Brown Recluse, who has a family. Let's hope he doesn't show up and die. And then... You know we wouldn't chance to not have Corvus in here, right? It was completely my fault, too. I was charging a pair of headphones, and I got up to hand them off, and I just knocked over the tray. It was really bad, Magica. Don't tell anybody I did that. And if you do, I'm going to deny it, like, straight up. So, I didn't do that. You did that. Everybody did that. Stop looking at me. So I'm just going to roll a d4 to see which of these people came with her. She was getting a good back and forth with Andrew. She was becoming friends with him before that happened. And it could be argued that Andrew's death is the catalyst that pushed Samantha into becoming the woman she became today. And then, of course, there's her brother Corvus, who is on the complete opposite side of the world from her, morality-wise. And yet he thinks he's the hero like all good villains. Magica, you are not telling anybody. Like, straight up, you're not. Here comes the D4. From left to right, 1 being Sven, who doesn't get a lot of character development. That's why I kind of threw him down here. And then 4 being Corvus. The others in the middle, ascending left to right. Here comes the roll. 2. She is here with Andrew. It's good to see him get a little bit of, well, characterization once more. Those of you that were there or need a refresher, Andrew is not from the same theocracy that she is. He comes from Sintran. So perhaps this is a joint venture between the two. Why would they be coming after a witch together? Let's go ahead and ask a few questions about that. I'm going to lean this one towards likely, and the question is going to be, is this witch known to be a high, powerful witch? And here comes the roll. This is a no, but she can give a connection to the high-powered witches. In fact, we're going to say that this is just to tie it into the other story, this kind of leads into the necromancer groups that were causing trouble for the different theocracies. So they were coming for that reason, and maybe a few of the dead coming to life is what caused the people in
Joey Nikasa
to burn her alive. So that's kind of an interesting way to tie that all together. Before we get to the city, before we get inside, my final question is the city under lockdown? And looking back at it, I'm going to bring up the map. Unfortunately, you can't see the full one. There are no walls around the city. Some of the cities do generate full gates around them. This one does not have it. In fact, there are several trade routes leading in and out of the area. So they can't really lock that down. Okay. That would not be the question to ask then. Instead of saying, is it under lockdown where no one can get in, I'm going to ask if it's under some sort of martial law. Sort of like you need an ID or a passport should be an essential worker to leave your home. Here comes the roll. Yes, you do. And it's hyper-aggressive. The person in charge of this place is taking a no-nonsense stance towards it. Okay. Before I go ahead and start actually portraying the situation and inviting actual gameplay and storyline into the work, does anybody have something else they'd like to ask? Something they'd like to potentially add in with a question? Something they'd like to clarify? Or something they would like to completely just throw over the table? Stall for further time for just a moment as I gather Andrew's character sheet. I'm going to give him the skills of a veteran. Because if he's an older gentleman, part of the arbiters before Samantha even was, he probably should be a veteran. We have a clarifying question of, does Shuck move through shadows? Yes. Is he that person from that new Thor movie played by Bat Guy? And here comes the roll. Unless you would like to roll it, Megboo, let's not jump ahead of the table. No. No, Shuck does not move through shadows. He just burrows through the ground all edge-like. It's pretty fun as that happens. One quick question before I start the game. Has this delay that's for Andrew and Samantha put them in a delicate situation? I guess a better way to phrase that is, are they coming into this unprepared? No, not unprepared, but they are not fully prepared. Whatever has happened before that for them to arrive in this location, it has caused them to be tired, not exhausted, and to not have the full amount of equipment that they should. Oh, hey look, the camera changed again. That's so weird. All day my camera has gone from making me super pale to like dark to like vaguely orange brown. It's weird. And every time I change it to adjust, it just goes back to pale. Anyways. Sitting in the back, Bishop is his actual name. But he's gone by Andrew, so Samantha seems to be stuck on calling him that. He rows the boat for both of them. He takes on some chivalrous facade, and despite the fact that he is probably more tired than Samantha is due to his age, he rows the boat for them. Sam sits at the head of it, one foot dangling off the front, just above the water, and occasionally a splash gets up and strikes her brown boot. She doesn't seem to care. She's more focused on the fact that it's taken about 2 months to get here. About a month longer than it should have. Journeys never go the way they should. Samantha is used to that. At least that's what she tries to tell herself. She glances back to the older man, who has both sides of the oars, and struggles through the water. She can see him sweating. She can see the heavy breath, the exertion as he fights with the water. They are going with the flow, but it seems he's intent on getting there a hell of a lot quicker than they were before. "I can take over if you'd like," she says from the front. Unknown to her that as she was speaking, she leaned a little bit too closer to the water, and now the front, the full force of her toes dips into it. She pulls the boot out, shakes it a bit, and Bishop makes another stroke. "Shouldn't be much longer till we get there anyways," he says. "I can handle it. Besides, you gotta work through the sage, or you're gonna be like one of those old people sitting on a throne doing jack and or shit." "Oh, do we get thrones when we live long enough?" If you don't have a throne, you're not doing it right." "You were literally beheaded in your last episode." "Shut up." And the boat continues further along. I want to ask before we go any further, are there any more interruptions before they get to their destination, or does she make it there in time? And by in time, I mean just in peace, intact. No, there are no more interruptions, and the sailing is quite smooth. Bishop does not hand over a single oar, and as they get further along the shoreline,
Joey Nikasa
comes into view. It's a few sparse buildings at most from the distance, and as they go a little bit closer, the docks meld into view because this is a PS1 era game, and beyond the docks, the town itself comes to roaring life. We already know that there is a castle here, and we know that there is a massive market, so we can't... It makes no sense to ask if this place is broken and run down. We can just assume they're doing pretty damn good for themselves. So the buildings closest to the docks are all pristine. The wood itself, as they pass by several of the boats, several of these larger ships, they all look fine, the paint on them near intact. Perhaps occasionally they do find one run-down little yacht, but it's not of importance. Some older people don't wish to keep up with the times. But the boat moves closer into it, and they are spotted on the river. Let's not dictate. We will make that a roll. Are they spotted on the river by a stockmaster? The dice don't want to roll. Try that again. There it is. Yes. Yes, they are. And as they come closer in, they hear a light bell ring. That bell calls out several other guards. It's people to assist the dockmaster. One of them holds out a stick to stop the boat in place, and as it's held out, Samantha reaches and grabs it, using the leverage to pull her closer to the dock. In the back, the older gentleman Bishop, his hairline receding, if he still even has one, seems to relax at the point that there are finally people here. Finally somebody that can take over, despite the fact that Samantha's been asking for several fucking minutes. The dockmaster is going to be played by everybody's favorite Tim. Tim. Did you think that was going to be his name? I didn't. The guards are going to be played by this guy who looks like Corvus, and then another guy who looks like Corvus, because these are the first figures I painted, and I wasn't very creative back then. Let's face it, I'm still not creative now. Ah. Good morning, the Dogmaster says. Guard with the crossbow. We'll have him keep his distance. That makes more sense, as the swordman leans forward and offers his hand to Samantha. We have no itinerary for a small boat to be coming in. Yeah, well, that wasn't exactly our plan, Samantha says as she's pulled up. Bishop piles out behind her. He busies himself with tying the boat as the harbor master glances to the both of them. Exactly what plan is that? Forgive me. She's about to say her name, Samantha, until she realizes not too long ago she gave herself a silly title like the rest are supposed to have. I am Arbiter Songbringer, she says. We're here for our handoff on the witch and potential interrogation. The man with the crossbow scoffs. The guard to her left doesn't have his sword drawn, except he crosses his arms. You're about a month too late. Oh. She scratches the back of her head, going blank for a second, not entirely sure how to follow that up. Well, still somewhat new. Bishop is not. And why do you say that? Don't tell me this is becoming a search mission. No. There is no need to go running around out there. We have it taken care of. How so? Bishop asks. The witch was causing trouble in town, and has been burned at the stake. Looking over to Bishop, she finds that he mimics the other guard crossing his own arms. And who gave the clarification for that? The Duke, sir. And where are the witch's remains? The ashes. Mixed in with some dung and thrown into the crops. I say good riddance, the guard with the crossbow says. Did you receive the follow-up letter that was sent several weeks ago? No, we have been on the road until now. It's not the witch we have to worry about, the harbor master says, but I think it would be best if you heard it from someone else. Well, and who would that be? We'll take you to the guard captain. They'll fill you in on everything you need to know. Wow. Amazing how these people just take our words that we're arbiters. I think it's a convenience thing, the person saying Tim breaks character to portray Tim. As he stands there at the dock until we go back to him and press A to interact. Of course, if we did that, he'd only say 1 or 2 pre-recorded lines. They should have 3 pre-recorded lines. That's how you keep up immersion. We are going to look to... Well, first, before I even do that, would anybody like to give me a name? Let's give a name to this character. Crop circles. I know you said that in response to something else, but that's still kind of funny. Captain Crop Circles. He's the hero we deserve. Alfredo. Okay, is this guy like a mob boss? I know there are not mob bosses named Alfredo, but like, that's what I think of him. Well, we are going to find a little bit more about Alfredo now, aren't we? What we are going to do is begin with a motivation verb. That's going to determine what kind of character interaction we are going to have here. I believe that for once I can actually show it to you. So let's go ahead and do that. Map. Yep, you can see it on screen now. Let me remove that so we can blow it up a bit. And I subtracted, of course I do. There we go. There's the motivation verb. Alfredo circles. My friends call me Crop. Jesus Christ. Alfredo Crop, my friend, calls me Circles because Circles is more like a playful, stupid name. Or Circles is what they call him when he's not around. Because they knew of crop circles back then, obviously. But in this world, they're not a hoax. That's the twist. Stopping the music for a bit. We're going to roll on the motivation table. This is a D100 table that's going to essentially figure out the motivation for this character, not only in this scene, but for the overall bearing, so long as I remember it. Or you guys are here to call me out for misremembering it. We start out with a D100. Anybody that would like to roll a D100 will also contribute to this. That is exclamation mark roll space 100. So here comes the first roll if I do it properly. Yes, it's purple. I keep telling you guys it'll turn purple. It's finally purple. We did it. Everyone pack it up. We're going home. All right, so I have a 9. This character is here to promote. That's nice of you. And then we have a 100 from Megbu with a 28. Promote aid. All right, so far he's looking very jovial. And then Magica has rolled a 39. Administer. Promote, aid, and administer. So this guy really doesn't sound like he's going to be that much of a dick, which is unfortunate. We're going to move on to the motivation now, where we are going to contract just what overall is the general. This is how he is. This is what he's trying to do. Promote, aid, and administer. But what? How crazy would it be if it's just like magic, secret societies, criminals? We'll see with that. So I will roll the D100 for this one to see what comes up. Promote, aid, administer to whom? 33. The oppressed. This is a pretty nice guy. I like him. So that's probably why he torched the witch. Why don't people say torched the witch? I guess it's kind of hard to say, but it sounds more fun than burn the witch. So that makes sense. He's trying to help people. He's trying to administer. He's trying to administer help to people. So he burns the witch. It's kind of nice of him to be a guard captain and still do that. You should take some fucking lessons, Corvus. Who should we have this guy played by? You know what? We already had him portray one guard captain. Let's make it Bartrov again. Everybody likes Bartrov, right? If you don't, you're wrong. Give him a small little building. He doesn't need a fireplace right now. Oh, I broke the illusion. I'm sorry. Let me fix that. He does look like a guard captain. But this one will not be the same type of character, even though we all do love Bartrov. Hashtag bar job. Hashtag bring back bar job. But here we go. That came out right. So before we even start the scene, is he speaking to another person? Before we even start the scene, can I get my dice to work? Yes. Now is he speaking to another person? Yes. Yes, he is. Let's go ahead and generate one more thing because we are already generating a lot of stuff. And this one is just going to be the type of person that he is speaking to. It's a D100 roll. I'm just going to go ahead and roll it to move the scene along. We have a 21. He is speaking to a missionary. We will have him be played by this guy with the axe. One more just to give him a little bit more characterization real quick. He is a missionary caretaker. That's nice. He's also here to take care of the poor. Everybody in this city is just really, really nice. You know, it's pleasant. When I'm used to soul-crushing devastation and just unnecessary difficulty, it's nice to see people just be pleasant for once. Holy crap. It's like not playing Dead by Daylight. I know, weird. At the table. Why would Winifred? Oh. I was like, what is Winifred saying? Oh yeah, the one that got burned. Please, please don't make this a Hocus Pocus tie-in. We don't need a third one. In truth, we didn't need the second one either, but things are beyond my control sometimes. Like the fact that I was born. We didn't need that to happen, yet here we all are. We do have a few issues that need to be taken care of and looked at, the missionary caretaker says. When Rio arrived into your city, the poorer districts. Captain! The not Corvus soldier says. Kyle, can't you see that I'm momentarily busy? Apologies, Captain, but the arbiters have arrived. The missionary turns around, his eyebrow raising. Don't let me interrupt, such important isn't business, the missionary says as he takes a step back. Welcome, arbiters. Samantha and Bishop step forward. He elbows her like, go on, you're supposed to be the main character here. Bitch, I might be. Hi, she says with an awkward wave. I'm Arbiter Songbringer. I'm Alfredo Crop. Why'd I immediately want to give him a deeper, gruffer version of my voice? He's supposed to be friendly. He greets her with a warm smile, reaches across the table to shake her hand. I'm Captain Crop. It's an absolute pleasure. Pause. It's an absolute. I did it again, Jesus of all Christ. It is an absolute pleasure to welcome you to this city. I'm assuming you're here because of the letter that we sent, and I'm ready to administer as much aid to promote the safety of my village. Did you have to say them all? Andrew says. Yes, I did. He walks around the table to make himself more personable as he approaches. This is somebody who has also come, like you, to assist this great city. A great place of...
Joey Nikasa.
Why do you all say it with that same weird robotic voice? Samantha says. Don't question it. Anyways, do you have a name missionary that I've been talking to like we're friends? Oh yes, it's... Line, he says, looking to the audience. Would anybody like to give this random gentleman a name? We have the name of Newman. This is Newman. He comes from Torcambrium to administer aid on behalf of his theocracy. And Newman gives a deep bow. We have heard of the Thule theocracy's arbiters, he says. And we owe you a great respect, you and Lumina. Like Noman? Oh my god, sounds kind of like Noman. This guy is literally name to name. We're keeping that. He's not Newman anymore. I'm calling him Noman. And welcome, glad to see you. Why do I feel like my name has just changed? That's because it has, Samantha says. Now listen, Newman. I am forgetting exactly where we were. You want to drop it back just a bit real quick? Do we have any of those time witches here? Those don't exist. They do in the comic I wrote. Samantha straightens out her black vest. Ah, well. I hope to live up to what you have heard of us, she says, stumbling over her words. That was definitely her and not me. I assure you that you will. It seems that you may be a bit busy, Captain Crop. I can return later. That would be nice, he says. I'm afraid to say that these arbiters have been a very long time coming. I'm assuming there's been some difficulty, and Samantha scratches the back of her head. Oh, you have no idea. You can leave them with me, gentlemen. I'm grateful to you for bringing them, but please return to your station. We don't want anybody lingering when they shouldn't be. Also, make sure you harass them over whether they're essential workers or not. You're right. Let's get back to GameStop and make sure they stay open. And the two of them leave. The third one shakes Andrew's hand and then heads out, leaving just the three here. Get a little bit closer. Just a little bit. Not too close, but just a little bit closer, right? If there were troubles on the roads, I apologize for that, the captain says. Quite frankly, we usually keep these areas safe. I pride myself on having the cleanest trade routes. He sits on top of the table, taking a decisively relaxed state in front of these arbiters, of course. But unfortunately, ever since we took care of that witch, we run into trouble in our town. And I wish that more of you were here. They said that something happened when you burned the witch. What is it? Hold on now. Let me speak in weird pronouns so I can confuse you and compel the audience to be slightly more invested before I reveal what the threat is. Okay, yeah, Samantha says. This thing, when it arrived and caused all kinds of nondescript trouble, that's the worst kind of trouble, Andrew says. It is. When Black Shock arrived, he caused mischief at first. Animals went missing. Goods were broken and stolen. And then a child was taken. Well, that got unnecessarily dark, Samantha says. What's Black Shock? Now I can say it. You've set the name. I've set the name. They know its name now. Let me stop being obtuse. We believe it's some sort of demon. A spirit conjured by the necromancer woman when she was captured by us. It didn't arrive till after we burned her at the stake. Perhaps it's her spirit coming for vengeance. Samantha looks over to Bishop, who is studying Crop with a serious intensity that she's not ready for, one that she hasn't seen in him. She stands up straighter, brushes back a bit of her reddish-orange hair, and then adopts the mean face that her brother Corvus had taught her. She looks to the captain. How many people has this killed? Let's roll the dice for that. We already established that a child has been murdered because we can't get through one series without killing at least one kid off. That's what we do here. God, I need a new shtick. 5. Including the child, that makes 6. 6 so far, he says. We've lost the number of people moving about the city. 2 of my guards, damn fine men, snatched up from beneath the ground, dragged to their oblivion, and no doubt feasted upon by demons. Bishop shows no response as Samantha watches him, and she looks back to the guard. They said you sent a report. A few weeks ago. Even after we received the note we had left, we didn't catch it. Perhaps we could have more operatives coming then. Oh, now that's a good question. We have a question from, I believe Jericho pronounced it as Samoa, and that sounds a lot more interesting than me saying Samoja, so feel free to correct me. But we have an interesting question from Samoa asking, were there witnesses? Would you like to roll that d6, or should I? I will do it then. Here comes the d6 roll. Were there witnesses? 2. No, there were not witnesses. We cannot, with a straight 2, a straight no answer, cannot add onto it. But from the previous wording of saying that there were 6 and 2 of my best men, he is speculating. Or it can potentially be speculation, which leads me to ask this follow-up question. Were all of these people that were killed actually killed by Black Shuck? And here comes the d6 to answer that. No, they were not all killed by Black Shuck. Damn, we got like a semi-Jack the Ripper thing going on right now. So, I want to follow that up with an establishment. 6 people have been killed. How many of them were actually killed by Black Shuck? I'm just gonna roll a d6 since we established 6 people were killed, and the number is how many that Shuck itself has taken out. It would be so cool if it's like 1. Damn. What? That doesn't even make sense. Okay, let's clarify that because I didn't actually account on it being 6. Actually, no. Damn it, this is a fucking improv show. We stick with it. No, they were not all killed by Black Shuck. Technically. But what if this is like a fucking headless horseman thing? Somebody else is taking control of Black Shuck and is having it kill people for him. So while technically Black Shuck is killing them, they're being killed because of this dude. He is the one using Shuck to kill them. I just see the 2 messages came through for a reroll. Do you still want to reroll, or would that suffice enough to bend it to make sense? If all 6 were killed that way, and we're not saying this is canon until somebody says either reroll or continue with this, it also makes me think, yes, that someone's taking advantage of the situation. That's exactly what I'm thinking. Because what if Black Shuck has nothing to do with the witch? What if someone else in town is using the witch's death and they summoned Black Shuck? They're the ones that brought this here and everybody thinks it's the witch. It's like a perfect cover. I'm going to roll that and ask that. Did somebody else summon Black Shuck? I'm going to throw 2 dice out there and lean it towards likely. So when we do that, we take the higher number rolled. And here comes the roll. A 5. Yes, somebody is using Black Shuck and taking advantage of this situation. It does not belong to the witch. Of course, Samantha and Bishop are not aware of this. That is just what's happening in the background. Funny how the dice change literally everything. That's what I love most about these games. And we're afraid, Captain Crop says. We're afraid that more people that are out, more than just my guards, shopkeepers, my docksmen, travelers such as yourself, that more will be taken, devoured by the subterranean demons, and this place will crumble. I pray that other arbiters do come, because I don't know if the 2 of you alone can handle it. Right, Sam says. Another wonderful question. Were bodies ever found, or did they just disappear without a trace? Let's get that roll out here. A 6. That is our intervention 1. Dropping that in. At 3, we switch to intervention, and something completely unexpected will break the story. Usually it's regress plot for some stupid reason. Yes, bodies were... Seeing as this is your question, I'm going to let you clarify it. Because were bodies ever found, or did they just disappear without a trace, can be taken as 2. It can be, the question could be answered as yes, bodies were found, or yes, bodies disappeared without a trace. What would you like to apply the yes to? I'm assuming it's were the bodies ever found portion, because it sounds like the other was added onto it, but I will let you answer that one. Bodies were found, because that gives you a trail to off. Yes, correct. So then I will have Bishop say that. I try to show Samantha as somebody inexperienced so that anything smart that the audience says will immediately come from Bishop. You say 6 people were killed, Bishop says. Do we have bodies? We do. Oh, we do, the guard captain says. They've been taken down to the church. Unfortunately, a few of them have already had to be buried. But there are still D4 for them. We still have 4 of the bodies in there prepped. Some of them are fresh. Sorry to hear. Wait a minute. You have bodies? We do. You said that Black Shuck would take them underground and devour their corpse. Is he bringing them back up? Just, kind of spewing them out? I see where you're going with that. But the witnesses have told us that the bodies were pulled underground. Were they found in the same area where they were pulled? Yes, they were. And they were found several days later. Several days? Hmm. What are you thinking, Sam? Bishop asks her. It's just strange that they would take them, eat them, and then throw them back up. We used to have this bird when we were younger, and it would, they called it casting when they eat and then vomit out stuff that they can't digest. Do dogs do that? Megbu asks, does each attack happen at the same time? I assume you mean time of day. Would you like to roll that, or should I? You have rolled a 2. No, the attacks do not all happen at the same time. Again, I'm taking that to mean time of day. So, it's not... Megbu is corrected, saying yes, it was for time of day. So it's not just eating. Or else it would devour the entire corpse. You would give us access to that, right? Of course. You have access to anything that I can give you within my power. It is my job to promote aiding you, and I can administer. We get it. We get it. I'd very much like to see those bodies. I will call for a guard to come and escort you. In the meantime, I will make sure you have quarters to sleep in. We'll get you a nice room at the inn. And I assume the Duke will want to see you while you're here. You just call us when we're ready. With a quick jingle of the bell off to the side, another guard arrives. This one I want to pump for a little information, so we're going to give her not an extended scene, but some sort of scene to keep her along the line. She can be played by Brown's wife. But nonetheless, this person arrives. I will randomly generate a name unless somebody can throw it out there before I pull a card. So if anybody wants to give a female name. We already had a Bree. We'll go with Bree, but we already had a Bree. Bree. The woman arrives. Yes, Captain. Will you escort the two of them to the monastery? Tell Father Emmanuel that they have full access to the corpses. These are the 2 arbiters we sent for. Yes, Captain. If you would follow me, the blonde-haired woman says. She turns around and leads them out. We already have some interesting questions going on here. Now to make them all fit. I do like that idea that it does happen at a specific time and not a time of the day. Moon phases is interesting. That would, one, it would make it more difficult to happen within a short amount of time just because of how the moon waxes, wanes, and falls through the different varieties of itself. But that would be super thematic. Yes, moon phases may indicate a werewolf. Day of the week. It fits within the time scheme because this has been happening. I keep saying weeks, but I've already indicated they've been on the road for 2 months. She was burned about a month ago. So I would say that all of this has probably happened within 3 weeks if we had to figure something out like that. Okay. So we want to roll. We're going to roll to get more information, not information, but to modify this character to see how this character would respond to us. So if anybody would like to roll a D100, or in the case you may tell me to roll for you, Samoa, to bring up some sort of character for this character, I will gladly do that, and anybody else may roll a D100. Here is my D100. 69. Pious. 59 from Megbu. Gloom. Oh, sure, this woman's probably scared. Oh, you're right, it is 66. I looked at the 9, I didn't see the slice at the top. She is a fanatic. A gloomy fanatic. Interesting. So we're gonna go and lean that towards she's scared, she's afraid, she thinks that obviously Black Shuck is here to do some mad dirt, which is already done dirt, but she's gonna be overly obsessed about it. Too obsessed. She's the one who did it. Called it now, even though we have no way of knowing beforehand. Still calling it now. Call me Dragon Age 2 because I recycle props like nothing. Right? The City of Change. I actually haven't played Dragon Age 2 in years. I should. I've been wanting to replay them because I'm kind of hyped for Dragon Age 4. Never can bring myself to finish Dragon Age 3. I need to, but Dragon Age 1 is probably one of the most like amazing things I've ever played. The three of them move through town. Distant dogs bark, and perhaps it sets others on ease. We're going to set this at dusk. So people are running in and out of buildings and shops, trying to get the last of their goods before nightfall, and people shut down. The guards stop letting people out. Perhaps there's even one at every corner watching to make sure things are safe. And as this woman leads them, as Bree leads them, she is obviously not giddy, but you can tell she's a little jumpy. She's ready to speak, and she's just waiting for any opening. 6 people, huh? Samantha says, and that's the opening this woman is looking for. We will definitely ask your question. Originally, beforehand, we had stated that it is while generating it, it is a very oppressive. The government is being very oppressive in making sure people are not being out at night. But do all the murders happen at night? Is a good way to clarify that. I will roll that for you. 3. No, not all of the murders are happening at night, but the majority of them have. 6 murders, huh? Rumors are saying that there are more. Families have reportedly left city, but if you ask me, they didn't leave. Are you saying whole families have been taken by it? Possible. Look at the way people are rushing about. They know what's happening, they know what's coming. It's too dangerous to be about the city. They pass by one of the guards. God, patrolling the city at night almost makes you wish for a nuclear winter. Samantha looks at him, scratching the back of her head. Okay. They round a corner, heading straight forward, but I'm not changing the layout of the buildings. Again, we're going to get this low shot to make it slightly more interesting, but don't look at the fact that door. Here we go. It's one of those weird houses. Have you seen any of the murders yourself? Can't rightly say I have. And quite frankly, I spend most of the night at home when I'm supposed to be patrolling. Gotta make sure that my own people are safe. Right, Sam says. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, imagine hiding and running from the battle you're supposed to have. Have you seen any of the bodies yourself? Samantha asks. We have our intervention. Before I carry on with that intervention, when you say, is the guard alone, are you referring to the guard that is taking them, or a guard that is standing? Standing, the one off to the left. Is he alone? Let's go ahead and roll that. Here comes the roll. I said here comes the roll. Why aren't you working? Yes, he is alone. But He is not. Well, let's find a better way to rephrase that. Yes, he is alone. But he's being watched by someone else. He is physically alone. He believes he is alone. But there is someone keeping an eye on him. Here comes the intervention. A d6 is now rolled, and according to the intervention chart, it can change things in almost any way. Something good can happen to any character in the story. Something bad can happen. We can introduce something new. We can find a way to advance the plot, regress the plot, or a wild, which is complete interpretation. So, here comes the roll. Please anything but 5, because that's all we ever get. I'm going to hit reroll like 6 times. Okay. 3. Entity negative. Something bad happens to any entity already existing within this story. It can be someone we've briefly mentioned, someone we're meeting, or someone we've met, or someone we are now. Would anybody want to throw out which entity the negative thing is going to happen to? With no answer, I will figure that out. Let's see. We already know that Black Shuck cannot. The guard gets grabbed because he patrols alone. Is the first answer that comes out from Samoa. Entity negative. Do we want to clarify who grabs him? Do we want to say it to somebody? Maybe. Do we want to say a criminal? Maybe even Black Shuck gets him? We don't know. We don't. So as the three of them carry on ahead, the camera shifts to the two that are standing by their corners. They hear it off in the distance. The bell that tells them that it was only supposed to ring once. What are you doing? You can stop. Why are you hitting multiple times? When the bell goes off telling them that they are to make their final patrol before cutting everything up, before locking everything out, the two corner guards nod towards each other and break off in their separate directions. And Samantha and her group push on, not looking back, as the guard turns his corner and is taken off the streets. Removed, hidden. Are they going to use his gear, I'd like to ask, and try to impersonate a member of the guard for some undercover work? Not entity negative. Let's change that back. No, they're not going to do that, but they have the gear for the option in case they wish to do that. What's that bell? Samantha asks. They're giving the final warning before they send everyone back. It'll be dark soon in about 30 minutes, and anybody still out faces a heavy fine. Including you? Guards have exemption. We don't want to be out here either. It's not much further. We'll be there soon. The monastery that they're taken to. For some reason, I'm picturing the monastery in fucking Oblivion where you find Martin. I think that's just because there's a crypt beneath it and my mind is seeking like the first answer I could find. Windhelm. The Morgan Windhelm. Is that the one beneath the Jarl's building? I vaguely remember Windhelm. It's been a long time since I played Skyrim. It is. Blood on the Ice. Okay, that's the one where you walk in and they kill the girl inside the little graveyard section to the left. They push their way inside, and the door to the monastery closes behind them. See, I'm getting told that the sound effects are super quiet, but they are blazingly loud in my headphones. Note to self. Print out pews. Stairwell in the corner, leading up for those to head to the second floor. And then we will say that there is a door here, allowing entryway to where the morgue actually is. The father at the other end will be played by this jovial-looking fellow. The three of them stand inside the church. Perhaps the other end, because we're going cliché with this bitch, is a small little table, say right here, with a few candles burning on it. The father, who is obviously standing at the end, comes down the other end and approaches down the center. Father. And the man will say, being more serious now. Being more serious now, he's the one lighting the candles at the other end. Each one at the end of a small lighter, because they were apparently invented before matches. Why can I not think of the term for match? Interesting question. Yeah, let's go ahead and ask that. Is there anyone you want to specifically lean to? Do you want to ask, is it a church, or would you like to ask, is it more of an old-style temple? It's a D&D game. They're always practicing quasi-Christianity. Let's go ahead and roll that. Is this practicing quasi-Christianity? Worshipping a god? 3. This is not old-style Christianity, but it is dedicated more towards one of the gods. While I assume they would be fine with polytheism, they are only worshipping one. We will go with Lathander, the god of dawn and renewal. So, as the father lights these candles, he does so in front of a golden crest. The gold is a bit of a rose-colored gold, tinted with the fact that there is a sun rising over some distant horizon. He turns around at the entrance, the noise of the three of them. Their boots seem to echo against the cold stone of the church. Is he familiar with Bree, is what we want to ask. And here comes the roll. That was intervention. Yes, he is familiar with Bree, and she is a common patron there. She does show up every week. Ah. Brianna. It's wonderful to see you. We're going to actually give this guy a real name. Earlier I said one as a joke, but let's pull out the cards and give him an actual name. This is Father Otis. Sure. Nice fantasy name, fantasy deck. Isn't ricotta a cheese? Otis ricotta? Sure, that is perfectly fine. Father Otis. They've all been cheese. Oh my god. Oh wow. Okay, that is... I hate everything about that. I've been had. I've been got. You got me got. Father. These are the arbiters. They've come to see the bodies. On the orders of Commander Crop, we've been told to give them everything they can. She steps aside for him to move forward to them. He immediately turns towards Andrew. Ah. An absolute pleasure to meet you, he says. I'm Father Ricotta. Like the cheese? Samantha asks. I don't think that exists here. Also, don't give them recognition. They're not sponsoring us. No one is. Maybe you should go home and think about that. If there is something I can do to help your investigation, by all means I can. The dead are housed just through this door off here to my right. The morgue does not usually see this much use. It's so sad to see lives cut down in their prime. He leads them over. And is she gonna follow? Is Bree going to join in on this? I'll leave it neutral. Yes, but she's going to keep her distance. Perhaps this is her own investigation too. She wants to hear a bit about it. Together they approach the door. Together they look for my eraser. And together they find it. Funny how that works out. Stepping through the door reveals a room of cold stone. But there are no ice creams here. Tables line the walls, along with a few cabinets. The other end, boxes full of supplies they would use to take care of the dead. From the size of it, it seems that they don't get much business here. Perhaps that's a good thing. We will add one more here off to the side. Earlier we rolled and said that only 4 bodies remain. She watches off from her distance, and Ricotta leads them forward. These are the 4 bodies that we have in our possession. Regret to inform you that this gentleman right here has already been taken care of. The burial is set to take place tomorrow. Any information you can glean from him would be only surface level. Do any of you have experience with this? No, I don't have any practical medical experience. You've been in this for how long, Andrew? You have to have something. Does he? Let's roll it. Leaning towards positive. Yes, he does. A bit, Andrew says. He approaches the half-orc. But it's been a while since I've gone digging through bodies. It's not something I take pleasure in doing. This is an half-orc, he asks, while the Ricotta stands at the feet. Has there been more targets? It's not just hitting humans, or is it only hitting these creatures? He said guards. Are all the guards hired in town human? We'll ask that first. Are they all human? No, they're not. And the father shakes his head. Not the father. We'll have Bree answer from her corner. No. Half-orcs are not uncommon. We have a few elves as well, and rumor has it there's a gnome, but I've never seen one. Surprised they'd let half-orcs be guards here. We do not judge, Father Ricotta says. Lathander would be against it. The renewal comes with any line of work, so long as you are worthy of the dawn that precedes it. I like the way he said that. Of course you would, Samantha. You're not a very good bard, are you? Not a very good anything. Well, you always start from the bottom. Checking over the bodies. The body. Andrew examines it. I want to ask if there are any obvious bites on sensitive areas. The neck, the throat, was it torn out? Was this a straight-up killing, or did this man suffer before death? To clarify the question, did the half-orc suffer multiple bites before being killed? That is the second intervention. Yes, he did. And we will say that because of that, the face is completely unrecognizable. The only way they've identified him is the simple fact that the rest of his body is that of a half-orc's. Oh, Andrew says. He goes and lifts the towel before Father Ricotta can say anything, and he reveals the mishmash of flesh, bone, sinew that had been the face. Immediately, Andrew recovers it. Samantha had flinched away, despite the fact that she is an arbiter. She's not used to seeing this level of violence. Are they all like this? He asks. Yes. Most of them have suffered sustained damage. A few of them are recognizable. But we have been able to track them by registry of missing people. We are rather confident on who they are. What would the wounds look like? I was picturing mauling wounds, tears from teeth and bites, but if there are other type of wounds, that does alter the way it is. Then cuts would have to be ruled out if we have said that the head has already been beyond destroyed. It could also be more than just blunt trauma. You can be talking about cleaving, a deeper form of crushing. Would you like to ask a specific question towards what type of wounds they look like, though? Okay, yeah, that's an interesting question. Samoa asks, do the wounds look like something a wild beast would do? So let's go ahead and roll that. Here it goes. No, they don't. Perhaps they're, well, they can be as vicious as a wild beast. They've definitely have to look, I don't want to say premeditated. That's definitely not the word that I'm trying to come up with right now. Educated, shall we say? Deliberate? Kind of how, like, you can die in a crash, but if you escape it in Final Destination, the death that comes after is much more just violent and angry. I'm gonna move it again. Is that okay with you? Yeah, why wouldn't it be? Samantha says. Without responding, he grabs the shroud over the half-orc's face and pulls it back. He has not gone to see the two other corpses yet. Seeing the father, probably, very likely, we can roll that or we can assume it. If he is the one taking care of the ones that were buried, now that's okay, that's a good question. Let's ask that. Did the father see the already buried bodies? Why am I rolling a second dice? There we go. Yes. Yes, he did. Hmm. I won't push that. If you have something to ask afterwards to follow up on that, I'll let you before I start interjecting. Okay, without further interjection, I want to ask if the deaths, because if were the deaths similar? Yep, that's exactly what I was going to ask right now. If the deaths were similar, we are on that same level. Let's roll that. But no, they're not. We will explain that in character. He removes it and glances down. The lower left side of the jaw is split down the center. It breaks almost clean in the middle, but towards the left, it's cracked and shut in. That is grotesque, Samantha says. Disgusting. Look at the eye, it was almost like it popped out. Did they ever find it? No, but we assumed it was eaten. By the beast. By the beast. Beast was eating, this much wouldn't be left. Look at how much flesh is there. He turns around, grabs the towel off the elf laying next to him. Seeing that again, the face, the head, the neck, the upper chest, broken, caved in, destroyed, ripped apart. The other bodies, Andrew says as he crosses the room and removes the shroud from the large man who's already been cleaned up and taken care of. And with the blood and the sinew removed, you can see a bit more of the bone and the damage that was done to it. The other bodies, Andrew says, repeating himself, pointing towards the father. Were they like this? Not to the same extent, the father says. When we took care of them, they were not as clean, shall we say. This is clean? Samantha says, her heart racing a bit. She's failing to keep that composure that Corvus has said you need to keep. How is any of this clean to you? More of the body is intact. Intact. Yes. Further along the line, it seems most of it is traveling upwards. That woman down there. It started at her lower abdomen. This one has his chest. Are their brains intact, is what I want to follow up with. Yes, they are mostly intact on the outer portion. Most of the body, the facial, it's lower, but there's clearly something like, almost like you've stuck a straw into it. They're mostly intact, but damaged in a way. A very clear damage. Yes. It seems that, well, portions of the brain interior have been scraped away. Most of the damage, if you look at the bodies, don't seem to travel above the skull line. Or above the nose line. I have a pair of leather gloves if you'd like to take a closer look at it. I'll pass, thank you. Sam, if you can't handle it, I suggest you step outside. I'm an arbiter too. You're not acting like one. This is it. This is where we find out what's happening to these people. I signed up for a witch. First rule of being an arbiter, nothing goes the way it should. Or else you'd have your magical scythe today. I do miss my magical scythe. I'd like those gloves, Father. Samantha stands at the feet of the orc, the most intact of the bodies, where it's just a head that's decimated. She stares at it, half expecting it to jump to life. It doesn't, and the steps behind her trigger every known layer of fear. And she whips around just to find the father in a really shitty jump scare. What is this, a Blumhouse movie? No, they actually have a budget, the father says. He hands the gloves to Andrew, who slides them on. He starts with the elf, the second most intact of the group, where the damage starts around the neckline, the collarbone. You cleared the body of the other man laying on the table. Sure, go ahead. What is the question about the setting? The rules that we have against magic in the world established already is that there is no teleportation, there is no casual mind reading, and there is no physically changing yourself through the use of magic. If that did not answer the question you were looking for, we may roll it to find out. Yes, and the only reason I know that is because last episode, the dice introduced a character that was reading the stars for the future. So there is at least star reading as a type of divination. But nonetheless, you said that other body was cleared. Yes. What was inside of it? I guess a better question would be, were the organs inside where they should be? Yes. Any form of necromancy has already been implied to be illegal in this world. Were the anything left within the organs that shouldn't have been there is the question for this. No. And it seems like the organs beyond where the destruction is were intact. Most of them were destroyed en route to what we assume is the brain. Father, Samantha says from the back. Look, What is it, Sam? People think the bodies are getting pulled underground. Nobody's talking about organs and head trauma. Are you guys keeping this from them? Like, from the general public? No, we're not. It's just people are more concerned with the fact that this thing can grab you from nowhere, pull you beneath and maul you. And they get lost in the details of it being anywhere at any point. She looks back at the bodies. Do any of these people know each other? That you can tell. Yes. And you kept that a secret? Not everyone knew each other. You better not just say the two guards. No, 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 no. This man was a shopkeeper. The woman across from him, she was a dock worker that he occasionally got exported goods from. Do these two guards work the docks? No, and they're mostly further inland. We'll say they work near the entrance of the town. Actually, from the entrance of the town, were these guys in customs? No, okay. They just work near the entrance of the town, because that could give us a mad motive for a second. Huh. Family members state that they made anybody mad recently. No. In fact, she has just came back in town, and he was known to be a rather jovial man. We're all mostly laid back here. Did the guards frequent his shop? Nope. Wow, can you offer me any sort of information? Hey, I don't get to decide what I tell you. What a terrible person. Does someone in the town have a problem with everyone being happy? Well, we don't know if everyone's happy, but does somebody have a problem with these people being friendly and happy? No, they don't have a problem with it, but let's just say they're not happy about it. Everything is awesome, right? That's actually a very good question. I'm going to ask that. I'm going to ask, did these guards that die may have come to assist the victim screaming? So let's roll that. No, they didn't. But did any of the guards get killed at the same time as the victim? It's a question by Samoa. Let's look at that. No. What the hell, Dice? You want to do something more than just two? Clear. He looks back to the guards. Samantha giving him a wide breath of space as he looks between them. Were these guards killed at the same time, actually? Yes, and there's our intervention. Switching over to the intervention chart. Let's roll to see what changes this scene. And here it comes. 5. My favorite fucking intervention. This is like the 9th time we got it. Like out of the 11 or so interventions, at least 8 or 9 of them have been regress plot. So, regressing the plot, we lose a trail, something that pulls us back from it. And we will say that the regression of this plot is that this guy is not going to give us any further details that are helpful. Switching back to the Oracle. Clearing the intervention and the dice. Were these guards killed at the same time? I believe they were, yes. At least they were brought to me at the same time. Were they found in the same area? That I don't know. I'm actually going to see and answer that as if it was Bree. Does she know? No, she doesn't know. The dice just don't want us to have anything interesting to say or find out now. I think they're just telling me to move along with the scene. We have burials to prepare for them. My throat gurgled. It's unfortunate. But I don't know. What more I can tell you? I don't have the information for them. They lost it. Took it with them to the grave. You said he owned a shop. And he just came back from the ocean. There's something there. These two, at least. Is anybody running his shop now? Do you know? No, I'm afraid not. The shop was shut down. Were the keys on him when he died? Yes, but they were mangled. He kept them in his upper pocket. Was he married at least? Yes. Guards sometimes moonlight as security when not on shift. Potentially true. That has not been established as a thing that happens here, but it is potentially true. It's a common enough thing that can happen that I wouldn't say it's like not true to happen. But where were you going with that? Let's explore it. Never just shut out an idea. Where were you going with that, Samoa? Guards sometimes moonlight as security when not on shift. I think I feel where you're asking, but I want to hear what you say. They weren't working that part of the city on duty. Correct. They might not been on duty, but what about off day? Let's ask that. Were they working near the docks on their off day? Do you want to lean that towards likely or unlikely, or just keep it straight neutral? Okay, rolling 2 dice. It is likely that they are working there off duty. Let's see the answer. Here comes the roll. Man, that dice went far. 5. Yes, they were working there. But we have stated that this guy can't give us any more of the information crucial to that. Does she know? We will ask if Bree knows this. Yes, she knows this, but, and I'm going to use the but to cover up the new information. Yes, she knows this, but she hasn't told them yet. So for some reason, she's keeping that to herself, that they died off duty. He doesn't know that. They were just brought in really torn up guard armor. So she's keeping secrets. And maybe it got lost in the jumble of her mind. We don't know if she's actually keeping secrets. I don't want to ascribe some sort of deadly evil intent. But they were killed off duty, so there is definitely a connection between the 4 of them. I'm going to ask a background question, something that we necessarily wouldn't know, and I'll roll this one towards likely. Were they giving her some sort of illicit help? Necessarily maybe clearing things for her or making sure guards weren't in that area. Like they would say, hey, buddy guard, I know you're supposed to go in that room today or go in the docks today, but we're taking guard work. You don't have to waste your time. So I'm just going to hang out there as guard. So don't worry about that district. And they trust him and say like, yeah, okay. So here comes the roll through my ramble. That looks like a 6. It is. Yes, they were helping, and it was definitely for some sort of illicit means. Maybe the woman on that table is a smuggler, and he was selling or buying smuggled goods. Oh, actually, yeah, that's a great question. You want to ask if that, or you want to see if that's likely, Samoa? That Bree may have been assisting them in that, helping out in the illicit trade, shall we say, or responsible. Shit, maybe she was supposed to be the one that was guarding that. We'll do Samoa's question towards likely. And here's the question. Or here's the roll, not the question. 3. No, she's not helping them, but she was aware of it. She was letting it slide. She wasn't helping, but she wasn't reporting. One of those don't ask, don't tell kind of things. So maybe there is a bit of that responsibility there. Had she spoken up, they may be in jail, but they'd still be alive. Interesting. So there's the connection that she has to these people earlier, and the connection they all have. Now the characters just have to find a way to stumble onto that. Is there anything else I can help you with? I'm actually going to have Andrew be the one to ask that, because I said anything that, anything interesting is going to come from the audience will go to Andrew. The guards. Do you know if they were on duty when they died? I'm afraid I don't. Brie, can you answer? Do you know? Does she answer? I'm going to lean it towards unlikely because if she's feeling guilty and she hasn't said it before, she might not say it now. So rolling towards unlikely, here it comes. 2. She shakes her head no. Does she have any sort of hesitation, any sign within herself? I will leave that neutral and hit the camera, apparently. Calm down, me. Now that we got a line, I'm getting a little excited. There's the second intervention. Yes, she had a tell, and Samantha is going to get advantage to notice it. Because fucking 2 hours and 8 minutes into this stream, we're finally getting into some roles. Personally, though, I'm always down for the deeper story and character work. I will give this a perception to see if Samantha catches that. And I'm just going to make it. What do you guys think is fair? Samantha's watching it. She gets advantage, so it's probably not that difficult of a role for her. I'm going to say like a 12. Anybody else think 12 sounds fine? Or we'll say 12, and if anybody wants to roll a d4 to make it unnecessarily harder, you are welcome to do so. 12 was my go-to. Yeah, that's what I was thinking too. Andre, I fed you like an hour ago. Meow, meow, meow. 12 is okay. All right. So she has a +6 on perception. Here are the two 20s, taking the higher, of course. 17 + 6, it doesn't matter. She caught it. And as the woman goes, no, I don't know. Samantha's brow raises. If there's one thing this woman knows, it's storytelling and when people are lying. My cat is like body slamming the table of all my minis. Andre, you need to stop. Stop. Hold on. Samantha takes a step forward. What? You were gonna say no. Yes, and I didn't know. No, you said it as in, no, they weren't on duty. And you know me enough to know what I'm gonna say? We will make this a... Samantha is not ready to be intimidating yet. That's just not who she is. She hasn't hit that point. So we will make this an insight check. No, not insight. Persuasion. We'll make it a persuasion for this woman's been caught. This woman's scared. We'll make this one a 14 because she probably doesn't want to say it. And Samantha's persuasion is +4. So here it comes. 4, a total of 18. And we will go with you with what you say and attempt to guilt her. No, you know me enough to say what I was going to say? I don't know you, Samantha says. But you brought us here. You saw what's happening in the streets. Probably knew those people. Shredded and torn apart on the tables. Maybe they were your friends. But I'm willing to bet you have friends at least outside right now. Wandering the city or afraid, hiding in their homes. And if you know something that could help our investigation, I think you owe it to them to tell us. Maybe that's the difference between them dying and them being there tomorrow. You talking. Fine, okay, fine, the woman says. She doesn't look Samantha in the eyes, and Samantha, who's not usually very capable in any way other than talking with people, feels that giddy sense of this is why I do it inside of her. They weren't on duty. They weren't? the father asks. This catches Andrew's attention, and he crosses the stone room to stand beside Samantha. No, they weren't on duty. They weren't on duty. Another perception check, or not perception, another persuasion check. We're going to make this one 16 because now Samantha's prying a bit deeper. No advantage, nothing else, just the 16. And again, Samantha's persuasion is +4. Here comes the roll. She beats it. No, they just weren't on duty. You know something more. They weren't on duty. But you have to know something more. Do you know them? Their names? Yes, the father says. She was the one to identify them. You identified them? And you know they weren't on duty? And you don't want to say anything? Forget fear, anger. They're your friends. I'd tell you to look him in the eye, but there's not one left to look in. You're gonna keep bringing justice to their killer? No, I'm not. Okay, they were guarding an import, okay? That's all I know. I swear. I swear to Lathander. I swear to whatever god you fucking worship. I swear to Sainin Moonbow. Every single one of them. What kind of imports were they guarding? You've already talked, Andrew says. Why stop now? Does she just outright say it? I'm going to leave this neutral because though I feel like they're manipulating her into talking, this is something she doesn't want to tell. So this is a neutral roll, and here it comes. Yes, she talks, but she's hesitant. She doesn't give the full details, at least not for free. It was a few things we brought in from Sintran. Just imports from Sintran. Did they go through customs? Does the Dockmaster know them? Is there a record for this? There's the intervention. Let's roll it and see what comes up. 3. Entity negative. Any sort of entity that's already been shown within this today's episode, something bad is going to happen to them. Would anybody like to say who that entity is and what negative thing happens to them? First answer is the one that gets it. With no answer at the moment, I'm going to say that the entity that has something negative happen to it, just to further complicate things and make it interesting, is the Dockmaster. We will say that he is devoured by Black Shuck. They don't know that, but that is what's happening right now. No, there's no record of it, Bree says. Off the books. No one was supposed to know. That clears up a lot, doesn't it? Samantha says, turning towards her partner, turning towards Andrew. Yeah. Where does the witch fit into all of it? Were they working with her? Andrew asks Bree. Does she know if they were or not? It's the first thing I want to roll. I want to roll it, but the dice don't want to roll it for me. There we go. Yes, she knows whether they were working with her or not. Were they actually working with her? Yes, and that's the intervention. Yes, they were working with the necromancer, and they were bringing in just darker gear, stuff that was enchanted magic, things related to necromancy. Is she going to say that outright? Leaning towards a negative because that is hardcore legal. No, she's not going to say it, and she's going to try her damnedest to not say it. If this is a persuasion check against her, it's going to be either Samantha's going to suffer from the, I almost called it unlikely, from disadvantage, or it's going to be like a fucking 18 or a 19, something crazy. Were they working with the necromancer? I don't know, Bree asks. You don't know? Or you don't want to say? Samantha asks over the meowing cat. I don't know, she says. Think you've been hiding something and trying to bullshit us all night. No, I swear. Andre is not a witch's familiar. We use the Snapchat filter to figure this out. He's just a cat. That is literally what he's doing right now. He brought his toy to the door of my office, and he's sitting at the toy, like with the toy at his feet, meowing because he wants me to go and play with him. It's cute, and maybe I'll play with him after the stream, but now is not the time, Ange Cat. Before we had broke down with Bree and found out all the information, I was leading towards that too, thinking like, okay, let's go check out the shop or see the woman's ship if it's still undocked to see where it comes from. But there might be a little bit more information to get from her. You're right though, like I totally agree with that. Go to where where these places are located. Actually, no, I rephrased that. I was thinking to go to where they came from. You're saying where the bodies are found. Both of those, yes, the bodies are found. Definitely something they need to do. I'm going to see if Samantha can get it out of this woman. So, I don't know what the audience thinks, because I had given two suggestions, either a disadvantaged roll or something high, like an 18 or a 19, to get this woman to explain or to break it out of this woman that they were definitely working with the necromancers, because they know it, we know it. Samantha and Bishop do not know this. Go with disadvantage. Understood? What number do we think? If we're not going crazy high disadvantage, 14 sound fair to everyone? 14 at a disadvantage. Samantha has a persuasion of 4. Rolling 2 dice, taking the lower number. Here it goes. That looks like an 8. She does not hit. You've been hiding things all day. I think it's best that you come and tell us. I've told you everything I know. Okay? Don't forget that those people were my friends. And if I had an answer for you, I would give it. And she gets aggressive, getting in Samantha's face. And she tries to hide the fact that this sudden explosion from this woman catches Samantha off guard. Sam's trying to hide this, but maybe she doesn't do a great job at it. She shows that brief shock and takes a half step back. And Bishop is the one that gets closer. I think that it would be best if you take a step back. Interject the scene with the guard going missing? Yeah, perfectly fine. We can do that. We will send this guy from earlier, the one with the crossbow. He comes rushing over. And as they're getting close on each other, as the woman is eyeing down Samantha, and Samantha is trying to find the nerve, but the shaky eye won't stay as mad as Corvus is saying, I think it's best that you step away. That's the wrong one. It's this sound effect. They all glance towards the door. Apologies for interrupting. Bree takes a step back, and they all turn to the guard that rushes through. I've been sent by Captain Crop, Father. Was there another body? There was. Outside in town. Well, no, another guard went missing. A guard didn't answer from his patrol. Captain Crop thought the arbiters would be best to look for him. Take us to where it is, Samantha says. Very well. Follow me. Samantha looks towards the woman, Bree, who's glaring at her as she passes. Samantha takes a deep breath and tries to summon that bit of acting that still exists within her. I'm going to make this against the 16, no disadvantage, and this is her intimidation of a +4. She succeeds. If you ever get that close to me again, I'm gonna rip your fucking face off. The woman glares at her. Not scary. I'm trying to threaten you. Just telling you what I'm gonna do. And Samantha walks out of the room. The woman, though not intimidated by Samantha's words, is taken a bit aback. The intimidation comes from the fact that as Samantha tries to make herself sound stronger, and she does say that stupid ass line, the woman is caught off guard by the fact that maybe the fear that Samantha displayed, that quick turn into supposed anger, was an act. And now she's thinking, holy shit, I just I just jumped in the face of an arbiter. What the hell am I doing? And we clear off to the street. This is where we saw him last. It was meant to patrol the other side. Around the corner and get back. I didn't see him when he returned. I was looking, though. Spent the last solid 15 minutes trying to find him. He's gone. Floated off the face of the earth. Where was his patrol route? He was supposed to walk around this building. Be gone for no more than 5 minutes. Check the back of a few shops. The shop that he went missing by. I said a few shops. Were one of these shops the shop of the guy that's on the table? I'm gonna lean that towards likely. Here comes the roll. Oh, shit. That's like a triple hell yes, because not only is it like a yes, that's double sixes. That is our second towards the intervention. What was the name of the shopkeeper? He being Andrew, asks with a deeper, gruffer voice as he looks towards Bree. And I believe a name was thrown out earlier. I gotta scroll up to find it. Colby is the one we'll go with. Name is Colby. Was it near Colby's shop? Yes, she says. An alleyway behind the trio of shops off to the left. He was supposed to check back there for any kids playing. I would say that by now it's dark. Definitely night. And nobody's in the shop. Or nobody's supposed to be in the shop. Samantha looks towards the woman, to Bree. Do you have a key to Colby's shop? Leaving that neutral. Yes, that is the intervention. Let's bring it up. So let's hope for anything but regress plot, because that's the least favorite one. Here comes the roll. I'm going to hit it like 6 times to make sure it's not just... Alright, here it is. 2. Entity positive. Something good is going to happen to any known entity. I just thought of something. Some necromantic objects need to be fed. Maybe killing those in that way is just convenience. Beat them to the item and remove the obstacle. Damn, that's a good idea. I like that. I like that. Okay. Let's go with that. The entity positive. What Samoa said is that the object needs to be fed. And I will say that with the entity positive, that with this guard going missing, it is the final body that needs to be fed. Whatever they're trying to do, the reason they're feeding it, that thing is now powered. Whatever damage that's going to cause, it's ready to cause. Shit, if it's even going to cause that. Maybe they were getting it ready to flip out. Fucking plot twist, man. It's the goddamn scythe that they used to reawaken Auriel. Do you have a key to the shop? I don't. But I know where you can get one, Bree says. Yeah, the blood of the innocent to start it off. That's a classic. Maybe they need the blood of an innocent to finish it off. Or to light the shitty black flame candle because Megbu's throwing references to Hocus Pocus. I might as well complete it, right? I know where to get one. Shit. Okay, with that being said, are they going to target Bree because she knows? I'm going to make that likely and I'm going to roll it. No. No, that's a double no, in fact. Drop back to the Oracle real quick. That's a no, and she knows they were working with the group. She knows where to get the key. The and is that they don't know that she's aware of all of this. Somehow, she found out, she kept it secret, and she hasn't said a thing about it. So no, they're not going to send it after her, but she is currently their biggest threat. They just don't know that. The question I want to ask is what they're doing in the city. Is it meant for the city, or were they using the city as a cover? Okay, so I guess the charged up item that they're using isn't meant for the city. Yes, it's meant for this city, but where can we find the but in that? Pause. There I go looking for buts again. Yes, it's meant for this city, but not just for this city. It was meant, not just meant for the city, but for, it's meant to start with the city, we should say. That's the easiest way to clarify that. We can get it from the docks. I know where she keeps it. The two of them look at each other. Look, I know you'd be better to find clues, Bishop, Samantha says. I can go with her to get the key. If you want to find out what's here. I can get it myself, Bree says. Do you really think I trust you to go alone? Absolutely not. Wherever you're going, I'm going with you. Fine, I'll stay. Don't go missing, okay? Did I go missing when I was with you? No, but that was just a bunch of, like, generic goblets and kobolds and shit like that. Sam, I know that as long as you and I work together, or in the same room, in the same vicinity, that nothing bad will ever, ever, ever happen to me. He looks directly at the camera. I know that for a fact. Right. She slowly backs away from him, bumps into Bree. Watch where you're going. Lead the way. And the two of them move off towards the docks. It's a different part of the city if I just move 2 buildings. The two of them continue off, perhaps turning down a darker alleyway. The buildings are all shut. No doors open. Shutters closed as well. Not even a speck of light reaches through their cracks. Chimneys throw no smoke. They walk past each building, pushing further and further towards it. Gonna roll it towards unlikely, but is this woman actually leading her to get the key? Uh, Unlikely as in leading her towards a trap. That's what I meant. That's why it was unlikely, as if she was lying to get her into a trap, because I don't think Brianna's involved with the necromancers. It is a no. She is actually leading her towards the dock. I'm sorry about what happened to your friends, Samantha says. Yeah, I bet you are. No, I mean it. Even with what they were doing, it can't be easy to see people you know like that. Did she know that's what they would look like? No, and it was just as much of a shock to Bree as it is to Samantha. She looks to Sam, not caught off guard, but not entirely sure if she wants to say anything to that. But then she does. Had I known that's what was going to happen to them, I wouldn't have kept quiet. It's not easy, Samantha says. When we lost a few arbiters way back before we came out here, it was just as shocking. I mean, I've seen people die, but nothing like on the table. It couldn't have been nice. No, it couldn't have. Bree agrees. Samantha takes a few steps ahead and then stops. He stands directly in the way of Brianna. There's a connection there. And these things don't go away, Brianna. I know that I was telling you they were your friends and you don't want anything to happen to them, but I mean, it couldn't have been nice. In fact, it looked like the most painful thing I've ever seen. And if they pull you through the ground, and they can get you from anywhere, tear apart your jaw to reach your brain, suck out whatever's inside. If everybody involved with it or knew was being grotesquely killed, and I knew about it, I would. I would tell anybody willing to listen, especially arbiters, so that I wouldn't end up on that table. I'm gonna make that an intimidation check. That is not a persuasion. Samantha is trying to invoke fear. Samantha's intimidation from earlier is a +4. What do you guys think the uh, difficulty should be? Earlier it was something super high, but with Samantha going on that little spiel in the dark in an alley where they seem to be the only two around, I feel like Sam chose that purposely. She tries to set up a distinct mood when talking. 12? I was thinking 14, but if you want to say 12, we can go with 12. Plus, Samantha did intimidate her earlier by switching. And she just saw another friend. Samoa's right. Let's make that a 10. And here comes the roll with a +4. For an 18. Guy, the guard that vanished. Was he part of this? Intervention 1. She nods. Yes. He was always assigned to cover the back door of the shop so that nobody can go in, and occasionally he would take items out to other people. Hey, don't look at the guards. They're working with the necromancer, weren't they? Yes. Yes, they were. She, jumps onto Samantha, grabbing her by her vest. You need to protect me. If they're going to come after me. And Samantha covers her mouth. I'm going to keep you safe. Okay. But you have to stay calm. Because if you go shouting what you're saying to every asshole in earshot, the ground might swallow you whole. The woman backs away from Samantha and nods. Now we should get to the dock. And if you know anything else, anything, something small, even if you know what all of them happened to eat last Tuesday and the 4th of... What's Tuesday? Shut the fuck up. If you happen to know what they ate last week, I need to know everything. The woman nods. I can tell you all you want to know. Lead the way. How did you know all of this? Samantha says. I noticed that they kept taking off-duty work. Yeah, we all kind of do that sometimes, but it's all in the same area. And if it's all in the same area, you start looking, because nobody gets hired by the same one twice. And the woman, she never hires multiple people like that. Occasionally, she hires dock workers, but never guards. They step onto the dock. Never guards. Look, we need to get into her ship, and the dock worker's cabin has it. It's that one right there, she says, walking onto the dock and pointing at the large boat. Let's just get to the dockmaster. And they walk over. And we'll get in. We'll give it to you, no doubt. Hello? God, usually answers by now. She walks over to the shutter. Is anybody in there? Wow, that was a really heavy shutter, Samantha says. And Bree shrugs. Do you know how to pick locks? Yeah, actually I do, though. Something needs to be different about the dockmaster's death. Okay, you got a suggestion for that? I like that. Switch it up a bit. Let's not keep the same thing. The guard... Yes, and the guard went missing before the dockmaster was taken. However, we also did say it was taken by Black Shuck. We didn't specifically say the guard was taken by Black Shuck until I said he was needed. That was the last one he needed. It could be potential that because we specifically said the dockmaster was taken by Black Shuck. Was the dockmaster in on it? You figure he would have to have some sort of way in it, but maybe he was deeper in there. Part of phase 2? Why would they kill him if he was part of phase 2, though? Can you just move? Give me a second. Samantha pulls out the tumblers. Got it. Let's go. And Samantha pushes into the door. Well, Samoa, seeing as you were the one saying that he was the host and a different way to die, how would you like to say that the dockmaster was murdered? Black Shuck to capture and not kill. Yes, we did just say Black Shuck caught him. A mind flayer larva. Okay, I like that. God, it's been literal months. I've only read the mind flayer lore once or twice. Does it need a host to become a full mind flayer? That's devious. I like that. The first thing they're greeted with when they enter the room is the overturned table. It sort of dominates one side of it. A desk, perhaps, not a table. It's too large to be a table. And they hear the fireplace off to the right. It elongates the shadows of the table's legs, crossing between the X's that hold them together, twisting them into deeper, darker shadows, painting the scene of whatever they find. And the flames dance along the ground. If it took him, he may be controlling the cultist telepathically. And it's not the Mind Flayer doing anything himself yet, correct? I think that's a good one. Samantha's still in her chicken phase. Doesn't move forward. It's actually Bree that does. Brief signs of a struggle. We'll say the keys to the ship have been taken. They should have been on the table. Manifests. Evidence of the manifests within the fireplace. And once Samantha sees that this woman gets in deeper into the room without anything bad happening to her, she follows suit, and she's the one that finds the manifests in the fire. Burning scrolls. She doesn't reach for them. He's not here, Brianna says. I don't know where he went, but he's not here. The keys should be on this table. They're gone. All of them, not just the ship. They're all gone. We will go ahead and end there for the night. The idea of a Mind Flayer controlling cultists telepathically, making a dog drain people's brains to power it so that it can eventually take over, that is interesting. Accidentally stumbling onto a major plot, and I like that. I like that a lot. Samoa, you had some great ideas today. Megbu, you threw out some fun names. And for a second, I almost forgot that these people were named after cheese. Almost. It was there in the back of my mind anytime I tried to do something serious with them. But thank you for joining today. And anybody who watched, I appreciate you being here as well. Tomorrow, we will attempt to carry on business as normal. And it should be fine. I'll actually see if Jericho... He probably will once I tell him everything that happened today. If he wants to continue this brief plot line before we go back to the full main story of what we're going to, because this is actually super interesting to me, and I'm having a lot of fun with it. Looking forward to seeing you tomorrow, Samoa, and everyone else. Until then, I'll be in other worlds.